Hey, how's it going? Drossi here. Welcome back to the fourth and final part, of my ultimate Disc Priest guide. This part is about teaching you, as a Disc Priest, how to play objectives on Battlegrounds, right? It's going to tell you where to be at certain points and what you want to be doing at all times. Now, in my opinion, this is the most important guide out of all of them, okay? It's the most important thing you can learn to do as a Disc Priest. Like, you can be doing, very low healing, pressing the wrong buttons. You could be, confused and not know what's going on, have the wrong build and everything. But if you're in the right place, right, if you're always where you should be, you're contributing towards the objective, right? And that's how you win in RBGs. I've had tons of games where, my team's just getting farmed, right? We're losing team fights, where we're getting picked off and killed, but we can still pull out a win in the end because you're just playing the right, objectives, right? Which is outmaneuvering the enemy team. Now, obviously, learning how to play objectives properly is a lot harder than just changing your build or something. But that's why you should really pay attention to this guide here, because this is going to tell you the hard stuff and the more important stuff about how to actually win games in RPGs as a Disc Priest. The payoff is huge for learning map awareness. It's honestly the biggest thing I see. The difference is between low CR players and like hero level players. It's just that hero players are always in the right place at the right time, right? They just have really good map awareness, and you can too. All right, let's jump right into it. The first thing I'm going to cover is capture the flag maps. Okay, that's Warsong Gulch and Twin Peaks. I'm going to be covering them both in the same thing with this map as a demo, just because they play basically the same. So on flag maps, there are two main objectives, okay? And your team is going to split into two groups to play each objective. One of them is to go and kill the enemy flag carrier so they can't get back to their base and deliver the flag. And the other objective is to protect your flag carrier, keep them alive, get them back to your base, and eventually cap when you return your own flag. Each of these teams needs at least one healer. There's always one healer per one of these teams. And the third healer on your team is going to be the flex healer, where you either go offense or defense based on whatever is needed more at a time. Okay, so as a Disc Priest, you're best suited for offense, right? Because you have great damage, and also you don't have the best single target healing, right? So you're not the best on defense. But at the same time, you're not terrible at defense. Like, Disc Priest is not a bad defense player because you got great damage reduction cooldowns, like Pain Suppress, which are really, really huge in keeping your tank alive. Just make sure that your team decides who's going offense, who's going defense, and who's the flex healer before the game starts, because you need to be really quick with your peeling. So make sure you know what you're doing before the game starts. So as you know, in the very start of the flag maps, you always have a big team fight in the middle. Usually it's 9v9, everyone except for the FC is out fighting. And as a Disc Priest, right, let's say your role is to play offense this time. As a Disc Priest, you want to peel out as soon as the enemy picks up the flag. Okay, the enemy picks up the flag, then you know where they are, because hopefully you have someone scouting them out, like a rogue or something, a stealthy. Then you want to head towards their FC, right? You want to have the max amount of uptime you can on the enemy flag carrier. So once again, the moment people pick up the flag, you want to peel out of the fight and get back towards your offense team, right? Your rogues and your boomies and your stealth classes and Demon Hunters and stuff, and get on enemy FC. And your DPS should already be on them. They probably need a bunch of healing to keep them topped up. So just keep your offensive team alive, put as much damage as you can on the enemy flag carrier. It's really important to try to stay ahead of the flag carrier, because they're going to try to peel you out, right? As a priest, you're really slow and really prone to being peeled. So if you ever fall behind, that's really, really bad, because the FC keeps running, right? FC is going to keep on going. Your DPS are going to follow them. And then eventually you won't be able to heal them anymore. So what you want to do is, if you get slowed out, right, if you aren't able to stay ahead of the FC, which is the best case, then you might want to just actually peel out to the side or peel out further back, try to get a mount up and circle back around in front again, right, to stay in front of the enemy FC. And that's it. Just stick on the flag carrier until he dies. Now, if you're playing defense, similar story this time. Whenever your flag carrier picks the flag, you also want to peel out, right? Get out of the mid fight as soon as you can. Get to your flag carrier, right? You need to reach your flag carrier with the flag before the enemy offense team does, right? Before their kill team does, because if they reach them first, then your flag carrier dies. So similarly, of course, you want to stay in front of your FC, right, towards wherever you're headed to. That way you don't get peeled out to the back. And this time it's a bit different. If you get left behind, you don't just want to peel out and try to mount up and get around, because it's probably a bit too slow. You probably want to call out to your FC, let them know in comms that they need to come back and wait for you a bit, maybe help you peel a bit, and just stay within healing range of you at all times. Now, the hard part about playing defense is that you need to be really careful about rotating your defensive cooldowns, right? So you have usually 2 healers on defense, not always, but oftentimes, and you have your tank himself, which is pulling defensive cooldowns, and you don't want to overlap them, right? Like it's really, really bad if you overlap ultimate sacrifice and pain suppress. Obviously, it's wasted, and you just need to live as long as you can, right? Because the whole point of this map is to live longer than the enemy FC does. FC is guaranteed to die, right? Because of the flag stacks, you get more and more stacks, and you just can't keep them up. The damage output is higher than the healing they take. So the better you rotate your defensive cooldowns, you don't stack them and you keep them up, just cycling one by one on the enemy cooldowns, then you have a higher chance of surviving longer than their FC does, and that's how you would get points and win the game. After a point is capped, just get back into mid and continue team fight and cycle all over again. Watch for whenever your flag carrier, either the enemy or your own, if you're playing offense or defense, picks up the flag and get towards them again. All right, let's move on. Next, we're going to cover the base maps, okay? And by base maps, I mean only 2 specific ones, and that's Arathi Basin and Deepwood Gorge. Some other maps have bases like Eots and Gilneas, but I don't consider them the same playstyle as these ones, so I'm going to cover those in a later section. So, talking just about Arathi Basin and Deepwood Gorge, the 5 base maps, as a Disc Priest, your role is basically to spin and pad. You always want to be at the base which has the biggest team fight going on, the most people, because you're very immobile as a Disc Priest, but you have massive massive healing, right? If you're ahead on bases, if you have the 3rd base, then you want to be at the base where the enemy healers are, right? So try to track the enemy healers and see what they're going. If there's 2 healers going somewhere, 2 enemy healers, that's definitely where the main team fight is going to be, and you want to go there and just pump healing and spin. If your team is behind on bases, if you only have 2 bases versus their 3, then follow along your DPS, right? Follow where your main teamfight DPS are, like the non-stealthies, and spin together with them, right? And hopefully you can wipe a teamfight eventually by ooming the enemy healers or something, or your stealth team is able to get a steal. And of course, if it's contested, right? If there's 2 bases each and there's 1 node that's contested still, then just go there because that's where everyone's gonna be, and that's where you want to be as well. So pretty simple, right? The only thing that you have to watch out for is that you gotta understand the base you're at might have been the main teamfight base at when you first got there, which is where you're supposed to be, but it doesn't always stay that way, right? Like if enemy DPS peel out or if one of the teams starts wiping, then very quickly the teamfight can change to another base. Okay, and when the teamfight changes to another base, you do not want to be late getting there, right? Especially because you're so slow as this priest, and number of healers in a fight is so important. Like if you're late and the enemy picks off your 1 healer there, that's so bad. So keep an eye out, right? Always be watching how many people are in the current fight with you, right? If there's only like 2 DPS left and a healer, or only enemy healers left, then just get out of there and make sure you understand exactly where the next fight is going to be and get there as soon as possible. Or if you're winning the fight, peel out if you're not needed anymore. If there's no more healing to be done, if you don't see yourself casting any heals, then just get out of there, right? Because their reserves are going to go hit another base, and you got to be ready for that. All right. And the last section I want to talk about, which is all 4 of the remaining maps, which is Battle for Gilneas, Silver Shard Mines, Kot Mogu, and Eye of the Storm. These 4 maps are what I consider to be like the team fight maps, okay? They're all very unique and objective, obviously, but I kind of consider them exactly the same for Disc Priest in the way that you play. Basically, in all 4 of these maps, all you want to do is just have a constant non-stop team fight, right? Like it's just like 9v9 team fight non-stop the whole entire time. And these maps are both where Disc Priest really shine because you have so much AoE healing, and also where it's really easy to be a Disc Priest because all you do is just pump heal the whole entire time, right? Just pop off and heal, and you don't really need to focus on too much. Most objectives are played by the stealthies and the other people, base hitters, and you just spin as much as possible in these maps. However, because you only have 1 job here, because all you gotta do is heal, that means you really gotta heal well, right? So something that's really important in all of these maps is you have to watch for your mana efficiency, right? Because there's 3 healers on each side, like team fights often last really long, right? Oftentimes no one ever dies until healers which obviously is the end of the team fight. So you need to make sure you're not the healer that's and losing your team to fight. So play really hard for atonement, right? Pick up leaves everywhere you can and just try to drink whenever it's safe to do so. These maps are really a test on your mechanical skill, right? Your team fight awareness and if you're able to heal really well or not. So just focus on hitting the right buttons. Yeah, and don't worry too much about objectives on these maps. And that's it, really. That's all there is. That's all the maps in the current rotation. Once again, just want to reiterate that it's so important to be in the right places in the right time in RBGs, right? Killing enemies is not the win condition, even if you may think it is. I mean, it feels like you're winning if you're killing people. No, it's not. The map's objectives is how you win RBGs, okay? And luckily, as a Disc Priest, because you're so slow and you're best at AoE healing and sitting in place, the objectives are not too difficult for you, as opposed to like a rogue or a FC or something. But still, I know it's not easy, right? Because this whole time you're just focusing on healing, you're playing your class. But I'm telling you not to do that. I'm telling you to instead, right, look at your map, right? Try to find out what everyone's doing and don't worry too much about what you're doing in a team fight. And instead, you have to know what's going on in the map. And obviously, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Really, in order to do it well, honestly, you have to be basically a master of your class, right? You have to be able to heal on autopilot without even thinking about it, right? Without even looking down at your bars or anything like that. You need to know exactly what to do at all times, right? To heal perfectly. And that way you have the bandwidth, like the mental bandwidth to just always be checking your map, right? Just look at your map every couple seconds to, see what's going on in the game. So, yeah, I mean, all you can do is really just practice it, right? Like it comes with practice. Try to get into the mindset, of like not just tunneling healing. Like obviously healing is really important. You don't want your teammates to die, but any chance you get, right? Whether it's a break in healing, try to take a look at your map, see where everyone is, count some numbers on your battleground enemies, and just think about, just try to think about where you're supposed to be at that moment. All right, well, that's all I got for you. I mean, this is the very end of the final part of my ultimate Disc Priest guide for RBGs. I've covered literally everything I know about playing a Disc Priest at the hero level. I try my best to convey it in a way that's easy to understand. So hopefully, hopefully you learn a lot from this series. Yeah, hopefully it gives you motivation and the knowledge you need to actually climb the ladder. All that's left for you is to just go out there and kill some games. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.